To the outside world, the Falkland Islands exist as a series of powerful, yet incomplete, images. Many picture this archipelago through the distorted lens of a brief, sharp conflict from decades past. They see headlines and memorials, a story of sovereignty and soldiers. Or worse, they conjure a caricature, imagining some forgotten speck of the British tropics, a misplaced paradise that never was. Others imagine a quaint, rain-swept outpost, a caricature of rural England, adrift in the South Atlantic, complete with red telephone boxes and pubs serving warm ale. While elements of that heritage persist, this is a profound misreading of the place, a failure to grasp its fundamental character. The reality is harsher, colder, and more elemental. It is a land stripped to its essentials, where survival has always demanded resilience. To truly understand the Falklands is to look past the echoes of history and the misleading clichés. You must listen for the force that shapes everything. It is not the rain, though it falls often enough, nor even the biting cold that seeps into your bones during the southern winter. It is the wind, the constant, unrelenting, and character-defining wind. This is the true sovereign of the archipelago, scouring the land, dictating daily existence, and bending life to its will. It is a sculptor, working on a geological timescale. It carves the peat, shears the shrubs into low, huddled forms, and polishes the ancient stones. And over generations, it carves its signature into the faces and the very spirit of those who choose to call this archipelago home. This is no gentle breeze that rustles leaves in a park. Here, wind becomes a physical presence, an adversary you must lean into, a force you must respect. It howls across the vast, open country the locals call the camp. It screams through the rigging of boats in the harbour and finds every crack in the cladding of a house. It whips the sea into a frenzy of whitecaps and hammers the coast with salt spray that can be tasted miles inland. The wind determines whether a plane can land, whether a boat can sail, whether a simple walk is a pleasure or a battle. It is the first and last topic of conversation, the silent partner in every plan. To understand the Falklands, you must first understand the wind. The Falklands landscape is a study in brutal honesty. No soft hills or lush greenery here. Instead, immense spaces and rugged coasts are in a muted palette of browns, greens, and greys. Treeless by decree of the wind, scale that reduces life to pinpricks. From afar, beaches look tropical, until the frigid water and needling sand say otherwise. These are wild shores, claimed by penguins and sea lions. Beyond Stanley, remoteness deepens into solitude. Driving the camp, hours without seeing another vehicle, a beauty that demands respect, not charm. You don't come here for the pretty views. You come for the space. In the Falklands, daily life is a constant negotiation with the wind. It's not just a feature of the weather. It's the central character in the story of this place, an unseen force that dictates the rhythm of every single day. Every plan is provisional, every journey subject to its whims. You see its influence etched into the very structures people build. Architecture is low, reinforced, and compact. Homes are hunkered down, braced against the perpetual assault. Roofs are tied down, windows are small and sturdy, and even opening a door requires a conscious physical effort, a bracing against the gale that wants to rip it from your hands. Gardens, a small act of defiance, survive only behind formidable walls of wood and gorse. These sheltered pockets are precious, creating microclimates where something other than hardy grass can take root. Outside the barrier, the wind scours the land clean. The wind is the constant, inescapable soundtrack to life, a persistent howl and moan that rattles window panes and whistles through every crack. It becomes a background noise so familiar that its absence is what's truly jarring. A sudden dead calm feels unnatural, even unsettling. All transport bows to the weather, but none more so than the Falkland Islands Government Air Service, or FIGAs. These small islander aircraft are the lifeblood connecting the remote settlements of the camp, but they fly entirely at the mercy of crosswinds. The morning begins not with a timetable, but with a radio weather check. Delays and cancellations are a simple fact of life, capable of cutting off the camp for days at a time. Mail drops, school runs, medical visits, and vital fuel deliveries all depend on a pilot's judgment and a brief lull in the gale. On the ground, it's little different. The unpaved roads that crisscross the islands demand two hands on the wheel and your full attention as sudden gusts try to push vehicles from their path. Here, fashion yields entirely to function. The uniform of the islander is one of layers and shells, of wool and waterproofs designed not for style but for survival against wind chill. The first question of the day is never, is it cold? It is always, how windy is it? That single metric determines everything: what you can do, where you can go, and what the day will feel like. A short walk across an exposed field becomes a strenuous physical effort, a battle for every step. All work, from mending fences to moving sheep, is scheduled around the sky. It fosters a deep, practical knowledge of the environment. You learn to read the clouds, to feel the subtle shifts in the air, and to seize the moment to move when the gale finally, briefly, loosens its grip. The war lasted 74 days. Its shadow endures. A substantial British presence, base, airport and services, security, economy and remembrance entwined. London poured investment, roads, power, telecoms, services. A 200-mile zone and licenses transformed fortunes. Squid and finfish paid for modernity. Revenues built reserves. The islands fund themselves, defense aside. Wildlife draws visitors, but capacity is finite. 3,600 people, growth constrained, immigration managed. The squid's been good to us, but a bad season can come. Pragmatism tempers prosperity. Sustaining wealth here means planning for isolation. That's the reality they face. History here is lived. It shapes the calendar. Liberation Day is solemn, parade, church, wreaths, honoring those who died, remembering occupation. January 10th marks her first visit. Gratitude runs deep. Rituals reinforce identity, loyalty, gratitude, self-determination. The landscape is a memorial. The names are etched in memory. Remnants lie in the peat, treated with quiet respect. My dad fought on that hill. We don't forget, we can't. Memory here isn't about dwelling. It guides the future. On these hills, the wind still carries the stories forward. The sovereignty dispute with Argentina shapes everything. Threats shifted to diplomacy and economics. The response, iron resolve. Rights-based arguments, 92% turnout, 99.8% chose to remain British. Identity, history and democracy align. They choose their future. Buenos Aires contests oil, fishing, even visits, penalizing partners. Business faces headwinds, a siege-like climate. Regional cooperation complicates travel and trade. Vigilance grows, frustration smolders. We just want to live our lives, no quarrel with people, only with the claim. British protection reassures, politics remains stuck. Constitutional claims in Argentina endure. The Falklands sit in political limbo, prosperous, self-governing, contested. Life here is resilience in the face of isolation. A profound remoteness measured not just in miles, but in the vast, unbroken expanse of the South Atlantic that surrounds this archipelago. It's a distance that shapes every aspect of existence, forging a community that must look inward for its strength and its future. While the world may remember these islands for a brief, violent conflict, their true character is shaped less by 1982's flames than by the daily wind and empty horizons. The past is a scar, but the wind is a constant sculptor, carving the land and the spirit of its people. This has cultivated a modern, pragmatic prosperity built on grit. The wealth isn't ostentatious, it's practical, reinvested directly into the community's foundations. It flows from the carefully managed fisheries that patrol these rich waters, and from the fine wool sheared in sheds that have stood for generations. Success here is quiet, earned in fields and on decks, far from the world's gaze. It's found in the shared purpose of a market day, in the hum of a local workshop, and in the collective effort that underpins every small victory against the elements. Yet this isolation is both burden and blessing. It breeds an extraordinary self-reliance, but it also exposes a deep-seated fragility. The arrival of the supply ship is a lifeline. Its cargo holds carrying everything from fresh produce to vital machinery. A delayed vessel means empty shelves. A serious medical emergency means a reliance on air evacuation. A medevac flight that is itself subject to the tyranny of weather. Because of this precarious position, they cannot vanish into obscurity. Geopolitics keeps them permanently on the map. Their unique status in the world is not a matter of abstract debate, but a lived reality, influencing everything from trade routes to travel plans. This constant external pressure has made a small people articulate, forced to defend their way of life, their choices, and their very identity on an international stage. They have learned to speak with a clear, unified voice, advocating for their right to self-determination. This resolve is taught in schools and debated in community halls. The result is a life of stark contrasts, a harsh elemental beauty set against a quiet, determined resolve, a surprising, well-managed wealth shadowed by an enduring uncertainty. The wind still howls across the open moorland. The political shadow still looms from over the horizon. These are the constants of Falklands life, yet the people endure. They are not passive subjects of their geography or their history. They are active agents, choosing their own destiny at the world's end. Their resilience is not a poetic notion, it is a daily practice. It is as rugged, as tangible, and as constant as the very land they call home.